Good morning, Ambassador.
Good morning.
I would like to say that human rights and the International Human Rights Day in Bangladesh is a very, very important day for all of us who work on human rights, and we have been celebrating it consistently over the years to focus on the importance of human rights in our everyday lives, especially as it impacts on marginalized population and those suffering rights violations. What are the key messages that the European Union would like to convey, and why this is particularly significant for the EU?
Well, thank you very much, Shaheen, first of all, for coming here and
You're welcome.
engaging in this discussion on human rights. It is particularly important, and it's particularly important for the European Union because we actually exist as a body underpinned by the rule of law and respect for human rights, which means that we consider that democracy, freedom, human dignity, these are all values that apply to all of us. In the European Union, we are fortunate to have a Charter of Fundamental Rights that ensures that each and every one of us benefits from the respect for these rights, equal access to justice, for example, freedom of expression, another example. So I want to underline that Human Rights Day for us is a moment to celebrate our work with people like you, with Manusher Jonno Foundation, of course, with which we have a long relationship working here in Bangladesh. It's also a moment to speak up about human rights, to speak up in favor and defense of human rights defenders who do such an excellent job, including here, and also to underline that we are here in Bangladesh at this moment of political transition with a set of values that we advocate, and that includes the fact that when we are here, we consider that human rights underpin your development, your sustainable development, and also peace and stability for all citizens.
Thank you. You're absolutely right. Bangladesh is at the moment in a very pivotal situation. There's an interim government. We are looking forward to elections. So we need to look at what has been happening in the past and what needs to happen in future, and how we collectively can address some of the rights violations that does happen in spite of all our efforts. This year's Human Rights Day emphasizes on the indivisibility and universality of human rights. That how do you see these principles shaping global commitments, and what actions what does this mean for Bangladesh at this time?
What I would start by saying is that human rights, respect for fundamental rights, are under pressure around the world. This has not been a one-way street. It is a point that we need to every day get up and fight for the proper respect of the rights and the expansion of those rights. So this is something that we see happening on gender equality, for example, but equally issues of privacy and digital. We need to adapt and be ready to ensure that the rights of you and me are respected online. We are talking about human rights, civil rights, political rights, social rights, cultural rights, also making up part of a whole which reinforce each other. So these are the important points. Now in Bangladesh you have an impressively diverse country. You have an impressively large population. That does bring with it certain challenges, of course. Yes. But we want to make the point that for us, we look at a country that is beautiful, diverse, and complex like Bangladesh, and we see that women or minorities, such as religious minorities or ethnic minorities, the indigenous populations, their rights need to be upheld on a continual basis.
Thank you. Thank you. A person who is born comes with certain rights. You cannot give it to that person or take it away from him or her. Just as you said that it does not matter if that person has a different sexual orientation or caste or creed or gender. Would you like to highlight the major human rights priorities that the international community should be focusing on at this moment, and why are these so important? You have already touched on those a little bit, but if you would like to come on.
I can also structure those priorities, because I think The European Union is not here to teach lessons.
Yes.
We are, in fact, here to support the capacity of the Bangladeshi administration and civil society
Right.
in upholding your own commitments and the rights of your citizens. So this is not about wagging fingers or teaching lessons. It's much more about how can we help you ensure that
Assist that,
everyone
yeah.
Enjoys their human
Right.
dignity. So just one point is that you have mentioned how cultural norms can affect the respect, for example, of gender equality. And we recognize that. But I would also say that in the European Union, this issue of gender equality has not been finished. It is not won, if you
Right.
like. It is something that we need to look at all the time. I have 3 children, 2 girls and 1 boy. The struggle for my girls to enjoy the same benefits or the same
course.
rights to walk
course.
down the street at night as my son enjoys, that is still
Absolutely,
an ongoing battle in the EU. So no one is perfect. We are all in this together. I think the priorities. So if I look at the international level, I would start with the priority of gender equality. That's number 1. And the reason I start with that is that how can we, any of us, hope to be successful, prosperous, stable countries or organizations if 50% of the population does not enjoy their rights or cannot enter the workforce or is not able to complete their education. I think we need to be very clear about it. This is for the benefit of everyone. So we need that 50% to be productively engaged in society. We need everyone to play their role. That means women having access to services. It means boys and men giving women the space in which to go to school, enter the workforce, join them in raising families, of course, all extremely important. So number 1 priority, gender equality. Number 2, I would argue, is going to be space for civil society in general. There is pressure on space for civil society everywhere. When we look at how we work with organizations like Manusher Jonno Foundation, so we look at you as partners, as service providers, as implementing agents, so working with us to achieve certain goals, but also as an essential part of work here to advocate in favor of rights. So you have this multifaceted role as civil society organizations that we think needs to be given breathing space. The third priority, I think, at international level right now, I mean, there are different views on this, but I would say
Yes.
it's digital rights. Digital rights.
For sure,
Because things are evolving so fast in terms of our online presence, personalities, the advent of AI. We do need to regulate this. That's the European Union view. And we take this view because we see that the private sector needs to be encouraged. It needs to be encouraged to invest in approaches that respect your privacy and mine and ensure that online we are not subject to harassment, abuse, or even the sale of products that are unsafe. When I look, I mean, that's the international level. In Bangladesh, your country goes through this quite incredible political transition currently, and with an interim government that has set itself the goals of promoting reforms, accountability, and holding elections. So here, we are very much engaged on all of those issues. When it comes to elections, what I would like to say is that we are supporting your election commission. We are working with civil society so that civic education and domestic observers are empowered, because these elections should be a turning point for your country. We want them to be calm, participatory, and lead to a reset of the image of Bangladesh. And I think that there is a huge opportunity here, in fact, because the elections in 2026 will be the biggest democratic exercise anywhere in the world. Maybe I can say one point on reforms more generally. So reforms in Bangladesh, we have been very active in this past year, because we have seen that there was space for us to share our experience.
Absolutely.
So we have done that. And I think we can point to really big progress in a number of areas, but allow me to focus on two. One is labour rights, where we have seen the reform of the Bangladesh Labour Act. That is good, it was overdue. Now we need this to be implemented correctly so that we can continue as the European Union to be your biggest market for your exports. This is so important for your long-term development.
Oh yes, it is certainly.
And the last thing, just to say,
Yes.
rule of law. So on rule of law, it's at the basis of everything. So the rule of law underpins the entire European Union, and in Bangladesh, it underpins everything that is the contractual relationship between the citizen and the state. If reform of rule of law, upholding the rule of law, if that is done well, if there is greater access to justice, that is a revolution in a country like Bangladesh.
In itself, yeah. Thank you for mentioning gender equality so strongly, because at the moment we do have certain fear, that of going back, and there are certain forces in Bangladesh now which might prevent this whole concept of gender equality. So we are trying to strengthen civil society voice, and of course the EU support is very critical in that. Bangladesh has made a lot of progress. In fact, when you talk about equal resources, options, opportunity, our parity in education is a very big indicator of how parents have realized that no, our girls and boys both need to be educated. But we still have far to go. But I'll come to your next question, and that is about youth. That how do we harness the energy, the ambition, the strength of the youth population, and how they can be encouraged in this whole dialogue about ensuring human rights, and how they can be a part of that movement to ensure human rights.
It's
The youth population.
I mean, youth are, they are a repository of dynamic new ideas, and quite often what they need is the space in which to express those ideas. And it is access to decision makers that makes a difference. It is being listened to, I think, that makes a difference. There is, I believe, a long history of bureaucracies, my own, also Bangladesh perhaps,
Yes.
where the bureaucracies have not always listened to young voices or indeed to civil society. So this has changed in the EU, but it is recent. I think it is also changing in Bangladesh, even more recent, and we need to continue with this. So this is it's about structured involvement in the shaping of decisions. It's about the bureaucracy giving civil society sufficient time for consultations on new legislation or new approaches to regulation, so that there is a recognition that the intelligence, while the bureaucracy is incredibly impressive in a country like Bangladesh, the intelligence is not monopolized by the bureaucracy. You have all of this capacity in the youth and in civil society. So for me, that's very important. Politically, of course, you look at Bangladesh and you say, what happened in 2024? It was an uprising driven by courageous
It really
young
opened
people.
our eyes completely, on the potential of what youths are capable of doing.
It was amazing. I was not in Bangladesh when the uprising happened. I came immediately afterwards, but it was incredibly impressive to see also from outside young people standing up for their fundamental rights. It was a rights-driven, rights-based uprising. That was also very impressive to see. So I look at that. I think we have to recognize that. Equally, you look at the scale of the population and its youthfulness in Bangladesh, and you have to understand, if you are going to successfully lead this country towards sustainable development, then you must involve young people in whatever capacity, because how important it is to bring in that 40% of the population which is there sitting, perhaps concerned about their future. They need to know that the Bangladeshi authorities have this in focus, and they can certainly hear from the European Union that for us, we are here listening to youth. We are here investing in education and vocational education and training, but we are also giving youth a platform for advocacy. For example, when it comes to climate change or
Yes.
climate activism, we do give that platform. We are also investing heavily in the possibility for young women to enter the power and energy sector, which is traditionally
the whole renewable energy
Right, so
world. Yes,
traditionally quite male dominated.
Yes.
But you have some fantastic young engineers
yes,
who are female, and we have been working through an initiative which is entitled Shakti Kona to give those women training in leadership, to create networks so that
Very
they can support
important.
each other. And really, when we look at the dynamic nature of the Bangladeshi economy, we see that renewables will be a huge growth sector. So get women in management positions, leading, applying their knowledge in STEM
and skills,
subjects
yeah.
to help your own country develop. This is something that we think is a very, very worthwhile investment that will pay you back for decades.
No, absolutely. No, I'm absolutely elated to hear that we know about that program. We also are implementing a small program on renewable energy, and we do see the enthusiasm of, energy of women around, and, both as beneficiaries but also as partners. Yeah. In your view, how can development efforts, be more effectively integrated into the, between the two, and to ensure dignity and equality for everyone?
So you make a very good point with which I agree wholeheartedly, and that is that if you are seeking to address the challenges that you face as a society, it will not be only through economic development that you will be successful. It has to be through efforts to reinforce human rights that speak to individuals' sense of their own human dignity. This is how you will make good progress, consistent progress in terms of sustainable development. How do we do this? Well, I think that at every stage of development project, conception, design, and implementation, you need to talk to the beneficiaries, consult with civil society, listen to human rights defenders. Otherwise, you are going to miss part or maybe all of the things that you want to achieve. So your sort of implication in the detail of project design is so very, very important. That is the main point that I would want to stress here.
Yeah. Yeah, no, thank you for saying that. Most of the projects are very giving services. So it's more service oriented. Traditionally, it started like that, the whole work of the NGO sector. And, over the years, it evolved into the rights-based approach, because we did realize as development practitioners that you cannot delink one from the other. You just cannot give like food to a person but not question why that person is hungry.
And you speak to the very good point, which is that we are here to reinforce the sustainability of everything we're doing. So we no longer invest in projects that deliver services for a limited time, perhaps replace the state's role, and then the project comes to an end, because we know that that is not sustainable. Rather, we are investing in systems. And the systems, when you look at systems that work in terms of pulling people out of poverty or getting women into the workforce, they are not one-offs. They are rights-based, fundamentally, because it is through that sort of focus on the rights of individuals to enjoy services or get into the workforce that we are going to have an impact that outlasts our own funding. And this is the point as a political partner for Bangladesh, as your commercial #1 export destination, and as your development partner. We are here to try to do everything we can to give Bangladesh a platform for success. That is our interest. So sustainability of development, that is something where everything we do is to try to ensure that you don't need us in future, but you still look on us as a partner, but you don't need us. Maybe you learn from our experience, but you don't need our financing in future. This is a country that is incredibly dynamic with, I'm sure, a great future ahead of it.
Actually, we are in it together for this.
That is
human
the
rights
message.
for everyone.
Not just in Bangladesh.
Yes.
Everywhere. And the EU needs partners like Bangladesh, also within the UN system, to advocate for rights. It's respect for fundamental rights. It is not just here. There is a bigger picture that rights are under pressure everywhere, and we need partners. So when you believe in something, you stand up and you get on with it. That's what I think.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Ambassador.
Thank you
it was
very
a
much.
pleasure.